into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I wanna know, how can I tell if it loves me so? Is it in it? Oh no,
You're not watching Mermaids, you're watching the Cooper Barrett after show. But this is so classic and fitting for the episode.
That's where it is. Oh yeah. Very pleasantly surprised to learn that James and I both grew up watching Mermaids and know the movie and love the movie.
I think that's like one of the only other movies that guy did that wasn't Roger Rabbit. Like the love interest that's like interested in
you know what else he's in though? Pretty in Pink. Or yes, Pretty in Pink.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the love interest. He's Molly Ringwald's love interest in Pretty in Pink. Really? I only knew him from Pretty in Pink and Mermaids. But you're saying he's in Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I'm pretty sure he's the lieutenant detective guy.
Nothing but trivia on AfterBuzz, folks.
We're just letting it play. And you're not listening to all I say. But it was quite an interesting episode.
Yes, episode 8. How to survive.
How to survive a horrible landlord.
Episode 6. I'm sorry. How to survive a horrible landlord. Well, first, welcome to AfterBuzz for Cooper Barrett's Guide to Surviving Life. I'm your host, Tamara Brown. You can find me on Twitter at BrownTamara.
I'm along with Tamara. My name is James Franck. You can find me on Twitter at TheJimboSlice, TheeJimboSlice. Wow.
Yes.
Damn. Let's get into this episode.
So, how to survive a horrible landlord. Did you relate? What's your landlord like? Did you relate to this one?
My landlord's my mother-in-law.
Really?
So I definitely relate to this one. No.
Is she?
She's great.
A, is she horrible? And B, is she going to see this?
No, she's fantastic, and she probably won't watch this. But she's awesome. She's really good.
That's good. Yeah.
Luckily.
I have a decent... I've lived in the same apartment for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I've never moved apartments. I've only ever lived in one apartment.
That's awesome.
Since I've been an adult. And my landlord is fine. We have this very awkward relationship, I feel, because he's a good landlord. I rarely want to bother my landlord. I call, something's broke, and he always does this hemming, hawing, trying to tell me I did something, even when it's clearly not. Like, if there's,
you bought the house, it came 2 bedrooms, 1 tree.
Yeah, it's somehow my fault, or he gives me some sort of talking to about something unrelated, but I'm always just like, whatever, just fix it, and he does. It's always
my mom was a landlord for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So I saw how she dealt with people, and totally just be nice to your landlords, because they can throw away those noise complaints that people give, and they can make sure that oh, you're not supposed to put things on your patio, but I'm gonna ignore that barbecue that's sitting there, kind of things, as opposed to when you're mean to your landlord, they're going to make sure that every noise complaint gets put in there, and that, oh, nothing should be on your patio, not a patio chair.
And this Cooper Barrett takes place in Los Angeles, and I have two friends actually, who their landlords have raised their rent $300 or more. One of them, their landlord just raised their rent $300. The other one just raised it $600, just because property values in the city are constantly going up, and people will always pay. You can rent a studio for $1,500, and that's insane, but somebody will pay it. So.
And there's no regulation on that. Next month they could do the same thing, and they have nothing to.
Well, they do have to when they're going to raise your rent like that. They do have to give you 90 days warning. If it's like rent controlled, they have to pay for your moving costs.
Is that a thing in Los Angeles? I thought that was just a New York thing.
Well, if you're rent controlled, they have to pay your moving costs and give you. And my one friend who it's being raised $300, they're doing. I actually feel bad for the landlord because she's doing everything that she's supposed to be doing, and he's still freaked out about it and giving her a hard time. But
oh yes.
Oh, the trials of renting.
Yeah.
It's always.
This really is the guide to surviving a horrible life.
Yeah. This
Many
is
different aspects.
This is one of those episodes that I would have really liked to have seen them play up the Los Angeles because you don't really know that they downplay the fact that this show takes place in LA. There's nothing that's particularly Los Angeles about this show.
Which is weird. Why do you think they do that? Like, you would think
Yeah,
that
why is it
like
even
if
in
you're
LA if
paying
they're
to
not-
shoot here, you might as well acknowledge that you're shooting here. You know?
Yeah, somehow
I
maybe
think
one
that's
of them
interesting.
one of them should have an industry job, or they should live next to Skid Row or something that just
something that lets you know
some
that,
love letter. I love anything that's a love letter to LA. I don't know.
Well, later on in the episode, they pop up at somewhere that's like literally like 15 minutes from my house that I've ate at.
Oh,
so
yeah?
I was just like, oh, that's the halfway house.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, when we get there, put a little
Okay.
star next to it.
So one thing I did enjoy was right off the top was Cooper and after we see the predicament that they are eventually in at the end of the episode rolling down the freeway on a
And it was
runaway.
funny because like that intro looked a lot like the intro from the wedding episode where they were like
Oh, that's
driving
true.
in the back of the car with the chickens or whatever, and it was like the same scenario, probably even the same road off the 126. You know, it was just like, oh, this looks familiar.
And then we cut to the hallway where Cooper and Kelly are having a very jovial moment. And Kelly says something to the effect of when Cooper drinks too much, he takes on a British accent. And he's like, oh, and she's like, your British accent's terrible, which is awesome because, as we know, the actor who plays Cooper is
he really
British.
British?
He's British.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's like the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jax, the guy that
Jax
played
is
Jax
British.
Teller.
So many people, and like the entire cast of Walking Dead is British.
Really?
Almost.
That's crazy.
Yeah. These British actors playing. In fact, I found a clip of I'm blanking on his name, and I can't find it right now.
Cooper.
Yeah, but the actors. He has 3 names. Yeah, I found a clip of him saying in like an interview with people that like it's easier for him to do, or sometimes he will do an American accent in like regular life because people understand him better than when he does a British accent. It's a
funny.
longer conversation.
We had an Australian guy come in here and do shows, and he would have like a similar thing. His name was Carlo, but whenever he would say it, people thought he said Carlos, and he's like, no, my name is Carlo. So he would do like a hardcore English, like American accent, like, hey bro, my name's Carlo Cologne, and then like, oh.
I love when British people do American accents, but Cooper does such a good job with it. You wouldn't know he was British. Sometimes you can tell an actor. Sometimes you can tell an actor might be British, but I think he does a great American accent. So, lot of will they, won't they between Cooper and Kelly this episode. We have Virgil, the landlord. Hello. Interesting stuff going on in the studio right now.
More landlord issues.
We have our landlord's coming in. Yes. So Virgil, the boys' landlord, is giving them a hard time this episode. They, let's see, what happens first?
Well, first they are about to kiss. Or did they kiss? And then they go into the apartment and they're about to like get down.
Right.
And then Barry and Neil walk in and they're like, oh, it's a cold black. Cold black is when they're about to, yeah, segregate. We got to segregate the laundry rooms or something like that. Barry says something ridiculous. And like Kelly's lady boner, as she calls it, is killed when the pig touches her leg, and the grossness of
and just the general
male apartment.
The mold, the
bachelor pad. Everything of a bachelor pad is killing her lady boner.
And
I was like, is that a term girls actually say?
Lady boner?
Yeah.
I hear it
like
a lot.
Real thing? Is
Within
that
the
like a
last,
new thing?
I think it's very common. It's recent vernacular because, like, in the last year or two, I feel like I hear lady boner all the time. I think there's a friend of mine has a comedy show called Lady Boner. So, yeah, it's a common
Is
thing.
it hard to get in? That would have been where you rim shot.
As long as it's not in a bachelor pad.
And then they go down to see, because what happens first? The tree doesn't fall through the building yet. I can't remember, but I know as soon as they go to Virgil's apartment and he opens the door, he has that sweet portrait of him as like one of the characters from Miami Vice holding a cat.
Yes.
And then he has like all these stolen items from the boys, like, which reminds you, like in the first episode, he steals their flat screen TV. He has Neil's headphones. He has Barry's shirt, what Barry thinks is Santa Claus, but it's really Frederick Douglass.
Frederick Douglass. He says he uses it as a nightshirt.
Yeah, it's huge on him too. It was ridiculous.
It's details like that it's like, God, this show has so much potential. It's so funny. It's got such little funny dialogue, funny details like that. In my opinion, it's the character development that we need that is lacking. But we can get into that. But the show has so much potential. It's funny. It has its funny moments, like things like that. But so Virgil gives them sort of, is it an ultimatum? He's like, you can, Kelly can switch apartments with me, or you can get rid of the pig. I'm jumping slightly ahead to get rid of the tree that's come through there.
Pretty much
randomly
if they
falls
want
into
any
their
renovations
apartment.
to their apartment, they gotta do what Virgil wants, which is either trade apartments with Kelly or get rid of the pig James Franco.
Yes.
They want neither.
And we don't, and they never say how this tree fell into the apartment.
Yeah,
It just
like
crashed.
why. It just happened.
Just crashed on through. So they embark on trying to decide whether they don't want to get rid of James Franco. And Kelly's apartment is 3 times bigger than Virgil's apartment, so of course she doesn't want to move. So they're trying to just deal with the tree, and they decide they make a pulley system, and they're like, we love the tree, we're totally fine with it, we're just going to live
In a week,
around
we're
the
gonna
tree.
have some syrup.
Yeah.
You know, like,
We're just going to.
they start naming the animals that come, like the squirrel, and they're like, oh, is that Fred? Oh, that's Fred. You know, like, oh, it's just trying to pretend like they're making the best of it.
And
so that Kelly is like, oh, okay, I'll switch apartments, but really they hate it.
yes, and then they try to they decide to pretend that they're getting rid of James Franco by giving it to Cooper's brother,
who they have read over their lease.
Yes, and
which is ridiculous. He's like, it says in here you got 2 months to take care of Uncle. What is it? It was like.
Oh yeah, Uncle
Goya
Uncle
or
Goya.
something.
Yeah.
And then Barry's like, I love Uncle Goya.
Uncle Gohar. Yeah.
Uncle Gohar. It's just like, oh yeah, I wonder how he's doing. Like,
he's
craziness.
such a Virgil's kind of a like a Lotka character, like just ambiguous background. We don't know where Uncle Gohar is, where he's from, but he's such a fun character, Virgil. And so they hide the pig. Obviously, it can't. Leslie will not sleep.
I loved it. She was like, the kids are asleep. That's all it takes to turn me on now. I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
That is like every parent that watched that was like, yeah. Like, hits home. And then she pulls back the sheets and sees James Franco in the bed. And it's like, no.
Yes, that's disgusting. Giant hog in the bed.
Were you ever part of that phase when people were getting like Potbellied Pigs as pets?
Was that a phase?
That was a phase. I was in like elementary school and I knew like 2 or 3
Really?
people that had them and they were like all about them.
I mean, I grew up in the country and I've never known anyone who owned a pot-bellied pig.
It's because everyone's seen Charlotte's Web, so they know what happens to those in the country.
Yeah, or like...
But yeah, it was like a thing.
Really?
Like kind of how like when Paris Hilton made like mini chihuahuas and like having a dog is like an accessory cool.
Yeah.
Like when I was in elementary school, if you had a potbelly pig, you were like the hip kid.
Wow.
And then by junior high, it was like you needed a ball python or like a snake or
Where
something.
did you grow up?
I grew up in New York and then I moved out here when I was like 9. So it was weird.
So it was here.
Yeah, kind of like a mix of both things.
I guess it's like now everybody wants a chicken coop in their backyard. Like that's a hip thing. I want a chicken coop in my backyard. If I had a yard, I don't have a yard. That's what's keeping me from my chickens.
I don't know how your landlord is.
If I were Cooper Barrett, I would put a chicken coop in my hallway and chaos would ensue.
Maybe that's the next season.
Maybe that's what happens next. Come on, Kelly. You do that. Let's see Kelly embrace some sort of weird quirkiness other than just being the love interest. So they realize that...
they're making it too easy for Virgil.
Yes.
And they're going to do crappy tenant things like play music really loud.
Really loud.
Too bad Virgil doesn't care and breaks out the musket gun and shoots through the floor.
A musket. Because he just has one.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he have,
a musket? And
gun?
Why wouldn't the landlord care about shooting a hole through the floor? Like, this place is just getting destroyed, and they're all just looking out for their own, like, I have to win. It doesn't matter what happens to this building.
And then, like, Kelly comes into the apartment, and there's a rug over the hole in the floor that still has a hole in the rug that he shot through. And they're like... oh, like he's going to get rid of the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, he is? You decided to change apartments? No, I decided to get rid of the pig. And they are not happy. And they got to go on the mission to find the pig.
They have to go to a farm, and it seems like it's a wonderful place for a pig. It would be a lot happier there.
Petting zoo.
Petting zoo, yeah.
Oh, how nice.
But the boys... they really miss James Franco, and as Kelly sees how they're reacting to their missing pig, she sympathizes and realizes that they can't get rid of James Franco. They really love him that much.
Which made me think of, because I've had to deal with pets a lot lately. Like, my brother just had to put his dog to sleep, and then, like, we just got 2 new cats a couple months ago, and, like, before we got those cats, I was like, really? Do we need 2 more cats? Like, come on. But now we've had them. I love them. They're
Really?
like my pets. So, like, I come home, I'm like, Ace, where you at? Ash, where you at? Like, I want to say hi to them. And they're so weird. Like, they rub against you, but when you pet them, they run away. It's so weird.
That's cats.
And I was never
I
a
don't
cat
like
person, ever.
I'm not a cat person.
And now, like, having pets... like, you learn to love them. So, like, at first I was like, who could freaking have a pig as a pet? But then, like, you realize, like, oh, you become attached to things.
I would have a pig before I would have a cat. That's for
Really?
sure. I would own anything
insane.
before I owned a cat. I would own, you know what's creepy? I have a neighbor who has...
A tarantula?
That doesn't bother me, actually. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind insects or reptiles. What is weird is I have a neighbor who has birds, and birds are weird.
They don't shut up.
They don't shut up, but it's not so much the annoyance of it, because I only hear it at certain times of day, but like it's mostly, something's weird. When you hear birds coming from an apartment, and sometimes my neighbor will play like classical music, and I'm just like, it's just such a Hannibal Lecter, like classical music and birds. I'm like, my neighbor who I've lived
Does he
next
have a
to
basement? Because you might want to check it out.
for 12 years, and I still don't really know this person, but I hear classical music and birds. He's got to be a killer, quiet murderer.
That's got screenwriting written all over it.
Based solely on the fact that classical music and birds together are creepy. So Kelly
rushes back to the petting zoo to get James Franco back.
To get the pig back
And the guy she talks to is great. He's like, oh, that pig, he wasn't meant for a petting zoo. He was meant to sit home and watch TV. So what'd you do with him? Oh, we sent him to a slaughterhouse. Thanks.
Oh, poor pig. So then they, of course, have to go enlist the help of Cooper's brother, and everybody goes to get back James Franco from the slaughterhouse. And luckily, they stumble upon the trailer of the slaughterhouse where it's going.
At the halfway house, which is right by where I live.
Oh,
and they have great breakfast. They're only open like early in the morning. They close at like 2. So they're like an early morning breakfast place. They have really good food, and they shoot tons of movies there. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was shot there.
Really?
And like it's just like a haggard old restaurant that they never changed, so it looks perfect.
Ooh, I gotta go there.
Set.
Sponsored today by
The
Halfway House.
Located on Sierra Highway. And I love, like, this is what I think you want more of, and I love this, but they only gave us a second of it, is like the tires like popped, or they're trying to change the trailer or whatever. They're trying to put the trailer on the back of the van, and Josh is like, you guys are doing that wrong. And they're like, well, how should we be doing it? And he's like, I don't know. Usually Leslie does this for me. And I could so relate to this because I am not a man's man at all whatsoever. Like, I don't know how to change a tire. I've never freaking changed a tire. And like at my other job, the sink broke, and like all the girls were like, here, fix this. And I was like, just because I'm a dude doesn't mean I know how to do this. So like acknowledging that, like, Josh even being like the man in the relationship and like the lawyer and like I bring home the bacon and I wear the pants. He's like, I don't know how to change that. Leslie does that. So like more of acknowledging that, like, the women in this show are not here just to be fillers or just to be eye candy or just
you
to
are exactly
move
correct.
the plot along.
I loved that line. I loved that line because it just makes Leslie interesting. And Leslie, like I've said before, she's great. She is interesting. She's funny.
Like the 3 scenes she had in this episode were all fantastic. Like, the kids.
But this episode especially, and I hate to keep going back to this, but like this episode, Kelly and Leslie's only purpose was to make out and have sex with the male counterparts. Like that's their only drive, their only goal this episode. Leslie's only goal was to have sex with her husband. It's like, just let's blow it out a little bit. Let's get a little more. Let's get a little more of the details.
2016, people.
2016. Let's get a little more of the details.
Yes.
Yes. So they managed to get the trailer away from the guy, the truck driver bringing James Franco to the slaughterhouse. They get it on the freeway, but then it unhitches, run away, and we see our opening.
Yeah, we're back to the beginning.
Cooper and Kelly on the roof holding on for dear life.
And then they end up at the hospital, and is she okay? And you don't know who she is, and then it's like, oh, James Franco is really a she. Yeah. And she just gave birth to a bunch of little piglets.
Adorable.
Yeah. And they're like, see, isn't this little piglet so cute? Like, this is how it was when we got her. And
Kelly she's like, oh, I understand now.
And then what do? Give one to Virgil, because if the landlord has one, you can have one too.
Yeah. And Virgil loves it.
Yeah.
Virgil, heart of gold on the inside.
And then Cooper's like, moral of the story is like, everyone, read your lease. And even the toughest people have a soft spot in their heart.
Yes.
And then we have this, just everything that you've been saying is wrong with the show is all accompanied at the end with like the final kiss and the break and the sprinklers and the water. And then like, it was like every love movie cliche wrapped right there. Like the water, the kiss, the slow turn as she leaves. Like it was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, Tamara's going to be like.
Yeah. And then, I mean, also, too, like, I think the actress that plays Kelly must have had a cold when they were recording this because her voice was just extra sultry this episode. So it was just like, let's get away from their will they, won't they for a little bit. And let's see the ladies have a bromance for a little bit so that we can.
Yeah.
But should we move into?
Let's move into some news and gossip.
Yeah, let's move. You have some good.
I have some
good
juicy
stuff.
news. I know Charlie Sackton, who plays Neil, through other stuff, and I saw him this weekend, and I was like, hey, we're dying to get you in studio for the Cooper Barrett After Show on AfterBuzz TV, and he's like, I'd love to come in. Monday, today, he was going to have a meeting with the other cast and crew members and people involved at Cooper Barrett to see where the show is going and where they're headed, because he feels that there's a lot of hot and cold with it, which I totally agreed, and we talked, and I was just letting him know as like a viewer, it's hard when like you're here one week and then not here the next week, but they didn't tell you that you're not going to be here the next week. And me and him were both in agreement that like they are investing a lot of money in this show. why are they making it so hard for viewers and people to catch up with it and be a part of it? Because like they're sending them on tours to colleges to do screenings, and like they're on billboards and they're tweetings. And he said they were going to have a meeting today to go over like social media and what they can do to help and where the show is going as far as like where they should be pushing it.
Because I follow the show on Instagram, but they really just post kind of ads to watch the show. I guess they need to like hook utilize Barry, dude. We both love Barry.
Yeah,
he's
like,
funny.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and like I follow them on Twitter. So like I'll see like they do like the tweets of like, hey, we're headed to like this college, come check us out, or like we're going live, like get ready West Coast, like for both things. So like the casts are involved, you know, it's just like who's making the calls to pull what triggers and like where they're headed.
Right.
You know, and definitely like maybe there's an episode where we don't see any of the guys and it's just focused on the girls.
That would be
like,
fantastic.
Like we go, like maybe Josh has to play stay-at-home dad for a week and we go to work with Leslie and see what she does. Or
that would be great.
Something just to let us know that like they're two sides of this coin and it's not just like dudes chasing tail.
Yep.
This is the point of the
obviously
show.
That's a part of life, but we're getting it's just so one-sided because we're getting different dynamics of the guys' friendship and personalities and stuff like that, and we are just not getting that with the ladies. So let's just
and it hasn't been like
bit.
The things they've done with the ladies haven't been funny. Like anything involved with Leslie or Kelly has been funny, from like the karaoke thing to like the awkward thing where like the couple thought that they wanted to be swingers but they really didn't want to be swingers. Like, so the girls are funny. It's not like they're not funny. It's just like the potential of like taking the reins off and letting them go kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
and the only other, I mean, like the sorority episode, the only time we're getting ladies in the episode, they just seem to be love interests. That's it. We can't seem to get a female in this series that serves any other purpose other than a hookup or a love interest or something like that. Like, it's things like that. You know, we don't want to harp on it, but those are just constructive criticism. It's like we said, it has potential. It's a funny show. There's so many funny details and stuff like that. So,
I think that's everything.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions?
Predictions? Not really. I hope that, I don't know how, this is episode 6. I would say they probably did 12 episodes, maybe 10. So I would think we'll at least get this entire season, and hopefully it'll get renewed for a second season. But I definitely think like changes need to be made and things need to be fixed, and you know they need to figure out where they want to go as far as the show, because like right now they're on Sundays. I think like Simpsons is their lead-in,
which is amazing for them. I mean, that's super
that's
lucky
what I'm saying.
for them.
Like Fox is making the effort to make the show successful.
Yeah.
Like Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
Frickin' Simpsons as your lead-in. All the promotion. Like they're working hard to make this successful. So why not like really put all your chips into it and see what people are saying? Because I'm sure you're not the only one, let alone like just another, like not the only person, not just a female who feels this way. Because I see everything, and like I thought that was like one of the best lines in the whole episode was about like, oh, Leslie always changes the tires and does these. Because I can relate to that, and I'm sure there's other guys that can also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The potential is there. They just gotta figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, let's just hone in, guys. We're rooting for you. So let's wrap it up there, I guess, for episode 6. So thank you so much for watching. Please comment. Give us your opinions of the show. Is there anything that you think you want to see the show, a direction that it should go in? Are you enjoying it? What are you thinking? Are you agreeing with us, disagreeing? Just let us know.
Yeah, and Goonies still holds up, Cooper Barrett.
That's true. Oh, we forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Come on.
I am Tamara Brown. I'm on Twitter at BrownTamara.
I'm James Franck. You can find me on Twitter at TheJimboSlice. You should also find me here at the Lucha Underground after show on Thursdays at 10 o'clock.
Ooh, cool. All right. So we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AFTERBUZZTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.